Hi,
Good
welcome.
morning.
This is the Caddy Info Cadillac Chat. Good morning. This is the Caddy Info Cadillac Chat. We do these on Wednesday nights during this time, and we get together and talk about Cadillacs and luxury automobiles. I have with me tonight Cadillac Jim
Howdy.
and Vinny from Cadillac Country Club or Caddy Chat.
Hi, how you doing?
Howdy.
We may have some other people join us. That Tim Carroll from Carroll Custom Cadillac keeps threatening to join us one of these evenings that he has bandwidth and remembers. Our friend Texas Jim, we don't know where he's at, so he could be. Be careful if you're on the highway. Move over to the right lane because Jim could be coming up the highway behind you. So we have more news from Cadillac. The last week we were amazed that the new Cadillac naming scheme for cars had been announced. That all the new Cadillac sedans, all the Cadillac cars are going to be named CT and then a digit. And so the big Cadillac, the first big Cadillac, is going to be named CT6, which is not met with universal praise in the Cadillac community. They announced this week that the trucks are going to be named XT, and then a numeral indicating the size of the truck. Jim, what do you think XT? So XT6 or XT6 perhaps for the next Escalade.
I have no idea. These things have a way of sounding much more stilted when they first come out than they do after you see them on the cars. I think that the name of these logos is going to be made by the cars that use them. I think that what we think of them now is interesting, but I would hope that the cars define the names as opposed to the other way around.
Oh, that's the most optimistic response I've heard, is that regardless of what you name them, then they'll live by their virtues. And I certainly agree with that, but I don't think Cadillac's doing them any favors. Vinny, what do you think? XT for truck.
So XT, and let's make it an extended, so what is that going to be?
Yeah, they ought to have a long bed for that.
An XTX?
Well, XT, I believe in my heart that what they're thinking is X for crossover and T for trucks. So both the crossovers and the trucks are going to be in this naming scheme.
So
in other words, the SRX won't be named a CT2. It'll be named a XT3.
Give them a little room to go build smaller ones if they wanted them.
Yeah. I think it'll be an XT3 or perhaps an XT4 because it's actually bigger than people realize in things. And so, but I think it's likely to be named an XT3. And then the next one out of the gate, I might name an XT2, or might think they would name an XT2 or an XT1. Because by the time you hit those both ends, you've bracketed yourself, right? Because if you name something XT1, then you can't get smaller than that with the next model, unless you rename it XT1 over and over again.
In case they ever want to bring back a Catera-like model, right? They need to save it.
Now, it's possible that that's wrong, and that only the Escalades will get an XT, and that the SRX will get some other two letters. The crossovers will get some third set of letters, but I think that they're saying crossovers and trucks will get XT.
Did they say they're going to get rid of the Escalade name?
They did not say that. They only said
it'd be a crime if they did.
Yeah.
They said that SUVs and crossovers will be named XT. Now, does XT go well with Escalade is a question. So if they called it an Escalade XT8.
That's probably what they're going to do. They'll keep the word Escalade for its market value, but they're probably going to honor it. They'll have both logos on the back.
And then you could have so the SRX could actually be named an Escalade SR3. XT3, Escalade XT3.
I don't think they'll want to make the name Escalade associated smaller with a smaller vehicle.
Yeah, I would try and turn Escalade into a whole different brand if I were them, but okay, a line within Cadillac. But now that they've gone alphanumeric, then XT. So now, would you think the Escalade is an XT6 or an XT8? They keep saying this. The number indicates the size, and I think the current Escalade is as big as the trucks are going to get ever.
It's pretty big. So I would say 8.
Jim, what do you think?
9.
9. Turn it up to 11. It's an
No, I think
XT11.
8 what it's going to be. I think it also hints at the number of cylinders.
No, well, I agree. I agree that would make good sense, but that's not what they're doing. They're
Right.
suggesting the number means the size of the vehicle.
Right.
Now, what's going to happen when we have a small car that's very expensive and a large car that's less expensive? Like the old days when the first Sevilles came out and they were the line leader and the smallest car. Then will we be back with this current scramble where you could have a CT2 that's $50,000 and a CT1 that's $10,000 and a CT6 that's $70,000?
I think they'll change the letters before they do something like that. They'll give them different letter series somehow.
So it'll break the letters.
Yeah. It'll break the letters if they do that. That tells me they probably don't plan on doing that in the foreseeable future. But that doesn't mean they're not going to do it, because the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray, said Robert Frost.
So do you think?
I was thinking that maybe they're going to do CT1s and make boats.
Make boats?
Yeah, why not? We seem to be breaking every other rule.
Right.
Now, do you think the press is misunderstanding and the number doesn't indicate the size, but rather the price?
I would bet that they're just reading what the press release Cadillac gave them. They're not reading it, but they're using it as material almost verbatim. I doubt there's a mistake there. It's probably they were handed text or email text on a PDF file or something.
Yeah, I think these are actual statements by the Cadillac leadership.
Yeah. Well,
we'll just have to wait and see.
I'm more interested in what they have for chassis and driveline than I am in what they put the little chrome numbers they put on the back. I mean,
So
that has an effect on the marketability and the image, at least at first. But the car, like I said, is going to determine its own future, and that the car is what I'm really interested in. Although I'm sort of out of the market, I'm so happy with my car.
the CTSV.
Uh-huh. I have almost 35,000 miles on it now.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting some use out of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's king of the road out on 285. Not that it matters. But, hey, speaking of king of the road, I saw a Buick Grand National on the way home from work today.
Wow.
What was the muscle car of the 80s, the Wonder Boy of the 80s. It was all blacked out and everything, solid black. And it sure looked funny sitting way high off the ground with those big, round, fat tires.
Yeah, I don't think there are any of those that are still stock.
Well, yeah, I think that one had oversized tires, but they were not low profile. They probably did great things for the handling, but I would imagine the stock tires and wheels probably handle better than what they have. But it was not set up for drag or anything. All the tires and wheels were the same size. It looked like somebody had just decided that this is what he needed for his ride and handling and power. And I don't really remember what the numbers are on the Grand National, but he rode alongside me for a while as if he was, birds of a feather or something. And so I sort of allowed that. I mean, after all, you don't see one of those puppies every day, and this one was beautiful.
Yes, as I say, I don't think there are any stock Grand Nationals anymore because they took so well to modifications and were so popular for modifications that, as I recall, they made 240 or 250 horsepower and a 3,500 pound chassis, and so they were good performance stock for their time, but nothing to sneeze at these days. But there wouldn't be any stock ones anymore that were easy to pump up the boost on them and make a lot more power.
I was at a car show on Sunday in Brooklyn, and there was two of them right next to each other. One was normal, and the other one was all hyped up, different engines and all kinds of stuff in it. I was like, wow. And everybody was just gawking over both of them. It was very strange to see. Like you said, you don't see one of them every day.
Yeah, they were available to most people. Was the nice thing is they were at a good price point. Now, I'm revisiting my miles per gallon, where do you guys? I was happily surprised when we took my wife's ATS 2-liter turbo out on the highway that it got, 28 or 29 miles per gallon steady along at 75. And so that's got me back to thinking that's about where I want my next car to get, as opposed to, the B series, high horsepower, lower miles per gallon. What do
Well,
you guys think in that range?
I think that, how about a 99 SLS? It'll do that.
Yeah.
It would take some reconditioning with a car that old, but just making a point that we've been there before and we can go there again. But it's going to be hard to do with a pushrod V8. I think that they need to go back to something like the North Star to get it. I mean, maybe they can do it with their 3.6, but I see that as a more highly tuned engine that doesn't get the gas mileage of the SLS, the Vion Y engines.
Well, and of course, it was the Cadillac ATS with the 2-liter turbo that we were driving to get the good miles per gallon on the way. But for y'all's daily drivers, where do you think they need to be? I mean, obviously with the CTSV, and you don't have a big commute most days, right, Jim?
Yeah, I got a huge commute every day, 2-way.
Oh, do you?
Oh yeah. But the best commute car that I ever had was that Eldorado, and it was a VIN9 engine, so it did not get you 28 miles per gallon, but it got 21, 22 on the road. It always got 22, 23 before they started making 10% alcohol. And, the lack with my wife in the car, I still get the 22, but my lead foot will not allow me to get the full capability of even the VIN9 engine. But I don't think I hurt the 20 mpg capability of the CTSV at speed. Although I will say the going rate on 295 when the traffic is light enough is higher than I normally would drive.
Vinny, what do you think? Where do you really want your miles per gallon to be in your Cadillac?
Well, we're in New York City, so you can just throw every mileage factor out the window because you only go one block and stop for a light, or you're in traffic. So it doesn't really affect me. I don't even watch it.
Yeah. Well, I think the where your ATS is at is excellent for a daily driver with a commute that involves some road time. High 20s in town, maybe low 30s even. I've had some small cars that I was very happy with. One of the ones I was happiest with was a Escort with a 1.6 liter. And that thing would get 38 miles to gallon on the road. That was better than EPA, but on the high desert, it wasn't level ground, but it was a lot of swoops in the arroyos, but there wasn't mountains. Because we usually drove at night with my wife in the car, within the combination not wanting to hit something and something live and hairy and smelly that damages your car, as well as being comfortable for me and my wife with the arroyos. I typically drove about 45, 50 and got 38 miles to gallon, regular as clockwork. We visited a niece who lived in Ridgecrest. We lived in the LA area, and so we did that a lot up 395. And then one of the cars I was real happy with was that Grand Am Quad 4 HO. It was quite a little scooter, amazing. Also, the handling was, just top notch. I like my wife's car, but it doesn't have the power of that Quad 4 HO. It's got about the same rated horsepower in a V6, but I think they were lying with that Quad 4 HO or something, because there's really no comparison. I mean, I'm not complaining. The HO version of the carpet V6 3.4 liter is a good performer, but it's no match for a Quad 4 HO, which is only like 5 more horsepower. And the Quad 4 HO was flat below half redline too, and it was suddenly the 3 resonances in the top end took the lowest one took hold.
It needed those other 4 cylinders.
Well, that's what I traded in on. That's the car I traded in on my my ETC.
Now, Cadillac did announce, since it's the first day of the new month, Cadillac did announce September sales and said September sales were the best since 2007. The Escalade sales are way up. The SRX sales continue to be up. I haven't seen the grid yet for individual model sales, but they also commented that their average transaction price, which is the actual out-the-door price paid at the dealer, the average transaction price for Cadillacs crested $50,000, which is an all-time high for the brand and outpaced Audi or BMW in the U.S. market.
Amazing. They're getting more per car on the average than the
car.
The sauerkraut burners.
And up $8,000 from last year.
What does a brand new SRX go for?
The least expensive one you can get is in the high 30s.
Okay.
It's in the 35 to 37 range, I think, plus tax, title, and
so it's not too far off from the
tax, title, and stripes.
It's also stepping on Buick's toes a little bit.
Yep.
So it's not too far from the ATS base.
Right. That was the big issue between, in my opinion, how the SRX won out against the previous generation CTS wagon, is the SRX was actually quite a bit less expensive. Now, nobody when people buy a Cadillac, their Cadillac's pricing approach, is that you go ahead and get the luxury of the premium version, and you don't get the $35,000 standard version. You get the $50,000 premium version, but it starts right there in the high 30s. And so with the gas prices, nobody's talking about gas prices anymore, and so Escalade sales are up. SRX sales continue to do well. The SRX is probably a reasonable choice if you have a small family, right?
I tell everybody that there's enough power for the father, there's enough power for the soccer mom, and you can fit all the kids in there. Perfect choice.
Got room for the soccer balls down by the feet too, which if they were in El Dorado, the soccer ball wouldn't fit between the seat and the seat back.
So the new Escalade is doing well. It's got its highest market share since 2005, since June of 2005, versus Mercedes, Lexus, and Infiniti in that very large SUV, luxury SUV category. And
I think the recession is letting up on the mid to higher income people, and they're buying new cars, and as the sales increase, they're turning to Cadillac because it's an alternative now. Or it was before in 2004, but I don't think it was perceived as an alternative by as many people as it is now.
Yeah, I think when we went from talking about peak oil several years ago to oh my goodness, now the United States is going to be a net exporter of oil because of the new abilities to recover oil. That the whole conversation has changed about what kind of vehicle do people want to drive, right? I remember when truck sales, everybody said, oh no, GM's left holding the bag with all trucks and crossovers in their lineup and no small cars. And then when everybody and their brother came out with a small car, now the discussion about gas prices has gone away and everybody's writing checks for crossovers. And you can't make enough of them.
I'm always amazed when I go to the auto show in New York. There's never anybody near the trucks, but there's always every other car but the trucks, because it's New York City. People don't buy pickup trucks in New York City. It's like a ghost town.
Now, if you do buy a pickup truck, suddenly 3 of your neighbors know your first name, right?
Yeah.
So that they can come borrow it or get you to haul something for them or do a public service.
Well, just tell them about that dead fish you hauled last week.
or a similar thing, so that they wouldn't want you to pick up their furniture.
Yeah, I had a bunch of Ebola refugees that I picked up at the airport and hauled over to the detention center.
Nice.
They sprayed down the truck, but I still don't like my kids near it. You can talk like that.
I am trying to be very careful not to make any Ebola jokes.
I guess you're right.
I'm fascinated by that whole topic, but I'm terrible about making jokes about whatever comes to mind. whatever comes to mind, and I feel that that's a mistake. And so, but I will say that I love the way the Africans pronounce Ebola. Ebola is one of the most, I think that's one of the most resonant words I have heard. If you hear the African pronunciation, because it's A with a very deep A, and then they roll the L, so it's Ebola.
Well, it's a big
It's
river.
deep in your throat, Ebola.
Yeah, it's
We
a
have
big
a handle
river.
on Ebola. Yeah, well, we're having a lot of discussion about that in Dallas because they had a fellow show up at the hospital that had Ebola, and so it's a topic of. But they say no worries, they have it perfectly contained and they know what to do. Now, the fact that he wandered into the hospital and wandered out of the hospital and wandered back into the hospital in an ambulance and that they didn't know what to do suggests to me that they're not telling the truth. But
No.
but they have it perfectly contained and we shouldn't worry. It's just a zombie apocalypse. So.
Is there a checkpoint on IH-35 east?
No, and I'm not going by there if there is. So. So Cadillac's missing the small Escalade and they're missing the small SRX, and arguably they're missing something bigger than an SRX, but smaller than an Escalade. And so was that really a missed opportunity for Cadillac? Now that everybody's ready to buy a truck, they've only got 2 trucks to sell.
How many trucks in that mid-range do you see on the road?
I see them on the road all the time. Okay,
Yeah,
every car in the parking lot in Texas is pickup truck, SUV, pickup truck.
Yeah, that's true. That's true everywhere, I think.
I don't know where you live, but here, if I'm the only one driving a car that my wife and we both drive cars. Everyone else, I think, has an SUV or a pickup truck.
Here we have a lot smaller cars, little Honda Civics and Toyota Corollas. Because it's New York City, it's hard to find parking space for a big SUV. And of course, gas mileage. So that's what I'm saying. But I see SRXs. Not too many Escalades unless I go into Manhattan, but are all used for chauffeurs and stuff.
And it does make a nice car for that because you can get plenty of people in it. There's plenty of room to get in and out, right?
Yeah. I don't see regular Escalades.
You don't mind the step up?
All I see is extended.
Oh, literally the limo version of the Escalade.
Yeah, that's all I see.
Yeah, I don't think I would enjoy that. I appreciate people that purchase those to keep and show after it finishes its professional life. But there's so many disadvantages associated with an extended car that doesn't appeal for me. Now, I did have and I've still got to do some more work on that. I had a colleague of mine send me a note saying that he needed to find a home for his mother's '76 DeVille d'Elegance. His parents have passed away. He has the car in good shape. He thinks it's a '76. I haven't been to see it, take photos and so on, and document it. And I didn't sync up with him last weekend. And this weekend we've got a family funeral that we need to go to, so I won't be able to sync up with him again. But I'll try and track that down and get some more info about it. But what he's really looking for is somebody who will promise to take care of it. He's willing to. The price isn't as important as he would like to see it go to a caretaker, is what I keep calling it. It's somebody that will, treasure it and look after it and keep it going the way his mom and dad enjoyed it.
We met a guy last Tuesday at the car show, and he's selling his 1939. He wants $70,000 for it. It's like in mint condition, showroom condition almost. But he's the same way. He just wants the car to go somewhere where somebody's going to take care of it.
A 39 what? What kind of car?
I couldn't tell you. It's 39 Cadillac, but I don't know.
Oh, Cadillac. Oh.
Yeah. I'm sending it out on my next newsletter for.
Jim, are you in the market?
No. I don't have room. I have a parking apron, but I use it to turn around and anything I parked outside, I'd have to have a tarp over, and that's really not good enough. It collects dust and moisture under there.
Yeah.
And if you I've discovered that one of the key things on disc brake wear is parking at garage, because if you get dew on it every night, within the film of rust that forms is the greatest source of wear on disc brakes. And this explains why I got 120,000 miles out of my first set of brakes on my Eldorado. Is that it wasn't garaged in Cadillac the first couple of, and in California the first couple of years, but it was always garaged in New Jersey. So I think that there's a lot there. I really if I had a weekend car, I have a friend who has a 41 Plymouth that's in cherry shape, and I've seen it. He's driven it around, and so I've seen it in parking lots, and it's a beautiful car. It's just that when I was a kid, a 41 Plymouth was not a particularly desirable car because I was a Chevrolet man, and it was a flathead. Although, as you and I know at this late date, those were marvelous engines. They were bricks. They ran forever, and they were unbreakable. And they got good fuel economy. The power wasn't bad for its time. So, but still, and so it's a good car. It's a nice car. It's not exceptional like a 39 Cadillac. They sold a lot of 41 Plymouths. They had a full year of 42s right when the war started. But I was joking with him. I said, my first car was a 41 Chevrolet, and I was one of the few people who could see it and call out the year correctly. And he wanted to know what I'd do if I had one now, and I says I'd probably have a 502 in it. And he just laughed. Of course, a 41 Chevrolet with a 502 in it, that's just the beginning, because those skinny little leaf springs have wheel hop with their 3.5 liter 85 horse straight six, and you put a 502 in it, you're gonna be putting a Dana rear end and a 4-link suspension. It may not be a Dedine. You may have to go independent to keep something that light on the ground. And if I was going to do something like that, I'd want a coupe. I don't want the heavy one. I'd want to go, 3,200 pounds. And the 502 weighs about the same as that cold water 6 they put in its stock. So, but still, the front end would have to be replaced. When I don't know, I think all that stuff would weld onto that frame. It was a pretty solid frame. So when I was done, I think I'd have a pretty good car, and it would look like a 41 Chevrolet. And the doors closed pretty good, and the upholstery, they had crushed velour upholstery on the top end. Although finding decent factory upholstery is a no-no, you might be able to get it redone looking factory stock. That would be nice. Crushed velour, that little prickly feeling stuff, and the nice big old plastic steering wheel. With people say, well, why do you have it leather wrapped? I said, hold on to the damn thing when the front end comes back down on the ground. And it wouldn't sound like that 41 Chevrolet. When the 41.6 was idling, except, once I turned the spark up around 26 before instead of 5 before, it went blah, blah, blah. But normally it would go bzz, So the 502 would sound that calm, confident sound, not high tune, but it would be a nice car, I think. Don't you think it would be a nice car?
I think it would be a big project, and you'd end up with a nice custom car the way you want it, though, and so I would appreciate that part. These days, I think I would rather stick with restoring an existing car to correct and standard condition.
Yeah.
In a classic, then I would look to enjoy the way it was, like this 39 Cadillac, the way it was supposed to be in 39, if it's a good, reliable car. So
yeah, if I had one, that's what I would want to do with it. But to me, a car like that is like a sailboat. They're great to have. They're beautiful things, but they're more than something to look at. They are a continuing investment of time and money, and it's the kind of thing I'd much rather have a friend own than have one in my yard. Benny, you laugh at me again.
I agree with you because I've had a lot of boats and they're money.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that if I had a local, if Tim Carroll would bring by a 50s, 60s, or 40s Cadillac once a week for me to play with, then I would be perfectly content. That would be better than owning one. Just let him bring it by, and I'll drive it to church and then drop it back off at his place.
The show I was at this week had about 6 or 7 different Cadillacs. There was a
Nice.
1966 convertible. It was in mint condition. They must keep these things in air-conditioned, climate-controlled garages or something, because there's no salt air or anything on these things.
Oh, sweet. Because that's a challenge in y'all's part of the world.
Oh yeah, we're steps from the ocean, so it's salt air. Body rust and mufflers. Yeah, the show I went to this week, there was a 66 parked next to an 83 Seville, which I know the guy, and he also has a 54 all Cadillac, and then the 55 won the best of show. So it's
nice.
Cool. I know all the guys, so it's kind of cool.
Well, my favorite Cadillacs are the 55 to 57s, particularly the 57 Eldorado with the dual quad V8.
I was telling Bruce last week it was my favorite's the 57 Eldorado Baritz convertible.
That's it.
I seen a nice gloss black one in Las Vegas at the Auto Collection show when I was there, and I was like, wow, this is the most beautiful car I've ever seen.
Well, as long as I'm dreaming, I want mine pink. Just because, why the hell not?
We had a show here a couple weeks ago, and a guy put his 1960 pink Cadillac on the dyno machine.
Yeah.
And he revved that thing up, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell are you doing to it? Like a 50-year-old engine. You know? I was expecting it to just break apart. But
no, he was just showing off a little, just enough to win. What were the numbers?
I want to say it was 560.
560 horsepower?
Yeah. Does that sound about right?
Oh, it wasn't stock. No.
No.
Huh.
They had
that sounds like a great number, but no,
maybe it was 460.
What year was it?
1960.
Yeah. So the gross on that would be 325, somewhere in that range, and the net on it would be 180, 190. And so if he was doing 560, then it was not stock.
Yeah, I'm probably wrong with the number,
but good for him.
Yeah.
No wonder he didn't mind revving it up. It clearly had been on the dyno before, right?
Yeah. He says he has problems going to shows and putting it on the dyno because the guys tell him that it can't lift because the tail is so long that it won't go up on the lift.
Oh, because it hits the ground in the back?
It'll hit the ramps.
Yes.
So he needs hydraulic kit and raise it up when he goes on the ramps.
Yeah, it just clears the way he has it. Who knows if he's got the shocks up or whatever, but it just cleared it. So
we're at minute 34 of our 30-minute program. I'm sorry, Vinny, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I'll have to show you a picture. I took a picture of it on the dyno.
I was going to say, I don't know how you do it with your iPad setup. There is actually a way where you can share screen and flip over to pictures on the PC version. Yeah, but I don't know how it would work on the iPad. What we can do some weeks, if you like, is you can email me pictures ahead of time, and then I can put them up, and you can talk through them. Or we can go link them to your site or whatever, and flip over to that, and then share screen that way.
Yeah, maybe I'll come over to your forum and put the picture up over there, so you guys can see.
Perfect. And then we can point it out to people.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being on tonight. Tim, Carol, we miss you, and hopefully you'll join us one of the evenings so we can hear about your current projects over there. Texas Jim, we missed you tonight. I hope that you're doing well.
Yeah.
Motorama is just starting on Twitter Chat. If you guys follow that, it's hashtag Motorama, Motorama. They're just getting revved up there. They do that every Wednesday night at this time, and it's a general automotive chat, but by some nice guys that that are here and in California and in some other places. But it's just kind of a general Twitter automotive chat. The only way you track it is do a search for hashtag Motorama, Motorama. And then what I do is I keep one of the columns in my gadget tuned to that hashtag. And then you can follow, and if you want to post to the thread, you just include that hashtag in your tweet. And if you want to follow the thread, just filter for that thread. Okay, so this has been the CaddyInfo.com Cadillac Chat for Wednesday night. Thank you very much to Cadillac Jim. Any final words?
No, happy cruising, and we'll see you next week.
Excellent. Vinny from Cadillac Country Club or Caddy Chat, thank you for being on with us again this week. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Any words of wisdom to share with our audience?
I will take a CT11 SR Turbo.
CT11 now could be correct. The SR Turbo, that would be a second car and not a Cadillac because it's got to be XT something.
Right.
Now, SR could be Sport Research. That could be the third line of hovercraft, perhaps, but it won't be cars or trucks. Okay, I'm going to hit stop broadcast, guys. Thanks for being on.